All right, let's dive in. Today, we're peeling back the layers on one of the biggest buzzwords in AI, Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. We're going to get past the hype and talk about what it really takes to get these systems working, not just in a slick demo, but out in the messy real world. It's time to go from magic trick to engineering discipline.
We've all been there, or at least we've heard the horror stories, right? You're in a huge client demo, showing off your brand new AI chatbot. You toss it a softball question about a new product, and it answers with total confidence, using information that's 2 years out of date. It's more than just awkward. It completely shatters trust in the technology. And that right there is the exact problem RAG promises to fix.
So, faced with that clueless chatbot, what's the solution? Well, the RAG promise is incredibly appealing. It's pitched as this elegant, almost simple fix to make our large language models, our LLMs, smarter, more up-to-date, and a whole lot more useful.
At its heart, RAG is a pretty brilliant idea. Instead of forcing an LLM to rely on its static, baked-in memory from its training days, you give it an open-book test. A RAG system first retrieves fresh, relevant info from an external source, and then it uses that context to generate its answer. It's the key to stopping the model from using old data or, just making stuff up.
The basic version, what people call vanilla RAG, seems pretty straightforward. First, you do some prep work. You take all your documents, chop them up into smaller chunks, and load them into a vector database, which is basically a super smart library for concepts, not just keywords. Then, when a user asks a question, the system retrieves the most relevant chunks from that library. And finally, it hands both the question and those chunks to the LLM to generate a smart answer. Simple, right?
Well, yeah, about that. As many developers are now discovering, that simple promise often hits a brick wall called reality. This vanilla approach has some major flaws that don't really show up until you try to use it for something serious.
This quote right here just perfectly captures the flawed thinking that trips so many people up. It's this belief that you can just dump a bunch of PDFs into a database and presto, you've got an all-knowing AI oracle for your company. But it's really not magic.
And in the real world, that simple approach starts to fall apart fast. The more documents you add, the worse it gets. It starts pulling up wrong or outdated info, it gets confused between different products or policies, and if your query is even a little bit vague, it might find nothing at all. And here's the kicker. Even with the right documents, the LLM can still misinterpret the context and hallucinate an answer. I mean, this developer's comment from a forum just nails it. Treating vanilla RAG like it's the final solution is like throwing a party for your bike's training wheels. Sure, it feels stable for a little while, but it's not a real solution. Those wheels are gonna come off, and it won't be pretty.
So if vanilla RAG is just the training wheels, what's the actual racing bike? That's where we get into what's called advanced RAG. It's all about evolving that simple pipeline with more sophisticated, robust techniques to handle the real world.
And you can see the difference pretty clearly when you put them side by side. Naive RAG gives you basic accuracy, maybe. Advanced RAG aims for high accuracy by using things like filtering and re-ranking. It goes from a simple search to an optimized hybrid search that can handle complexity. And, most importantly, it's built to scale, where the naive approach just can't. This new pipeline shows you exactly what I mean. See those extra steps? We now have pre-retrieval processing to make the search smarter from the get-go, and post-retrieval processing to clean everything out before it ever hits the LLM. It's a much more thoughtful, engineered process.
So what do those new steps actually do? Let's pop the hood and take a quick tour of the techniques that make advanced RAG work. This is the real engineer's toolkit.
Pre-retrieval is all about setting yourself up for success. Instead of just blindly trusting the user's query, you refine it, you make it better. And you're also way smarter about how your data is organized in the first place. Think of it as giving your search a better map and clearer directions.
For example, query rewriting can take a vague question and turn it into several precise ones. Metadata filtering lets you say, hey, only search for documents created in the last 6 months. You can even get smarter with how you chunk documents or create indexes of summaries to find the right source material way faster.
Okay, so you've got your initial search results. The job's not done. Post-retrieval is your quality control step. It's a filter, a sorter, and a compressor all in one, making sure the LLM only gets the absolute best, most relevant context to work with. No junk allowed. Two of the most powerful tools here are re-ranking and compression. A re-ranker is like a second, more expensive model that looks at, say, the top 50 results and puts them in the actual order of relevance. Then, context compression can literally go into those chunks and snip out the noisy, irrelevant sentences, leaving pure, concentrated information for the LLM. It's pretty cool.
And sometimes it's not just about tweaking the process, it's about using a whole different kind of engine. Vector search is great for finding things that are thematically similar, but for complex data with lots of connections, something like graph-based retrieval is a game changer. It doesn't just look for similarity, it understands the relationships between things.
Which brings us to what might be the single most important point of all of this. To build a RAG system that actually works in production, you need a huge shift in your mindset. This isn't about finding a clever AI trick. It's about rolling up your sleeves and doing solid engineering.
This developer put it, well, a little harshly, but they're not wrong. Vanilla RAG is disgusting. What they mean is that you can't just be lazy and throw messy data at the problem. You have to embrace the discipline of data management, the ETL pipeline that good data engineers have been practicing for years.
And that leads to this core truth. Once you get past the initial demo, you realize that successful RAG is at least half data engineering. It's about cleaning your data, structuring it, versioning it, and building a robust pipeline to handle it all.
So let's stop thinking about RAG as some kind of plug-and-play module. It's not. It's a continuous discipline. People are even starting to call it context engineering, which I think is the perfect term. It's the ongoing work of curating and shaping the context your models need to be successful.
So that's the final question to leave you with. Take a hard look at your own AI projects. Are they relying on a fragile magic trick, hoping that a simple approach will be good enough? Or are they built on a solid foundation of real, thoughtful engineering? Because that's what makes the difference between an AI that's an awkward demo and one that truly changes the game.